Yes.
Did you know Jim before you? Had you ever met Jim before you
No,
worked on the show?
No, I don't think I ever had. My first episode, almost all my scenes were with Jim, and I think we met at somebody's funeral, and I came in to pay my respects to Tony, Jim, and I did 3 episodes, and then the following year 3 episodes, and we had as you know. And it doesn't have to be Jim, but in this case with Jim, there was a certain simpatico. Yeah. I could feel from him, although he kind of looked with a cocked eye, if you know what I mean, because he didn't know me, but he kind of knew me. But when you're the padrone of a show, his sense of responsibility as Tony, and in his responsibility to the show, I thought was extraordinary. And we had a great time together. I couldn't say enough good things about him. I'll tell you one story, and I don't mean this. This is just my experience. It's the last episode that I did when I tell Tony that I'm going out with his Russian girlfriend. And as you guys know, nobody got the script in advance, as far as I knew. Maybe Gandolfini did, but I think most of us didn't know. Is that right? Until we read.
If you were a series regular, you got
okay.
It. Everybody else, I think it was on a need-to-know basis, kind of.
Right. So anyway, so I would show up and read and find out what I was doing. And the 6th episode was me getting, Tony beating the living shit out of me with a belt. But in the scene description, it's written that he pulls my underwear off. So we did this whole table read. And I was not happy about that. And I was just sitting there by myself. And Jim came over and he said, how do you feel about this? I said, I got to be honest with you, man. I don't think you have to humiliate an actor to humiliate a character. And I'm a little
nobody
upset
would want to do that.
No.
Nobody would.
And
so it was that he pulled your underwear down and spanked your ass? It
was I was going to be naked.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, I would have liked a heads up on that. And David, who's always been nice, and I couldn't say more complimentary things for what he created, but that one really caught me off guard. And James said, he came over, he said, how are you with this? And I said, I'm not happy about this. And he called David over and he explained what I was feeling. And David said, well, that's the way I wrote the scene. And I said, David, I think I can act the shit out of this part. And I promise you the audience will be horrified by what they see. But you don't have to humiliate me for me to get this across. And David said, well, okay. And he left. And I didn't know whether I was going to get fired or not, but Jimmy said to me, whatever you decide to do, I'll back you. I can't do it for you, but whatever you decide to do, I promise you, I will have your back. And I said, okay. And I knew that I was not going to take my underwear off, and Jimmy wasn't going to rip them off either. And then the director, who was
John Patterson, very sweet guy,
and he tried to convince me, and I said, John, I can't do it. I can't do it. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a problem, but this is too upsetting to me. And, we went and got ready to do the scene. So I went up to the prop guy and I said, what kind of belt are you using? He said, I was styrofoam belt. I said, would you, I took my shirt off. I said, would you hit me with it? He said, what? I said, I want to know how it feels. Hit me with that belt. And I couldn't feel anything. And I kept saying, harder, harder, and I didn't feel a thing. Now I knew how I could win this scene. Because I told Jimmy, I said, listen, this belt is styrofoam. I had the prop guy whack me with it. I didn't feel nothing. You can wail. There's a difference between really hitting and hitting a pillow. And he said, what do you mean? I said, I'm telling you, you can wail. It doesn't hurt. He went to the prop guy and said, hit me with that belt. Because he wanted to prove to himself that I wasn't making this up. And if you remember, when the camera's on Jimmy, he is tearing it. Yeah, as a matter of fact, that the makeup people had to put welts on my back because the belt wasn't leaving any marks. So it was a great experience. And we shot at Silver Cup that scene. And I think we finished around 3:30 in the morning. And I went out and there was a car going to take me back to my place. And Jimmy was standing next to me. And I just said, thanks for a great night. It was really terrific. And he was very complimentary. And I said to him, do you know the word mensch? He said, yeah, I think I know what it means. I said, it means human. And
oh, really?
So yeah, that's what it really means. It's a human person. It's as great a compliment as you can give. So I said, you are a mensch. And, because he really did something which is very rare. And the great thing was he said it in a way where it's your choice. I can't tell anybody what to do. And James, I mean, he was extraordinary.
Yeah,
and
that's who he was. Yeah.
That's who he was. And I could feel that because I was lucky enough to work 6 episodes, mostly with him. And
the scene is very disturbing. It doesn't need any more than what it is. It's still disturbing when I watch it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's intense and it's horrific, and it doesn't need any more than what is also there.
And as you know, you guys, as soon as I tell him at the beginning of the episode, after the scene in the spa, right? When we're talking about, as soon as I say to Tony, listen, I'm going out with, I forget the character's name, but the young Russian, Irina. I said, it just happened, but we're going out. And I ask him, I say that to Tony, I said, is that okay? And, completely deadpan. He goes, yeah, no problem. Oh,
Oh, absolutely.
There is no way I'm going to be able to get away with that.
About that. Very upset.
But he doesn't play it.
Did David ever say anything? Did you see David after that?
No, I didn't. And I didn't, like I said earlier, I know how hard it is to write and create anything, especially anything as monumental as this. But I didn't really get to know David. I don't know these.
Nobody did. Well, I didn't. He was on our podcast, and that's the first time I talked to David for years. We had a tremendously pleasant conversation, the three of us. And
well, I think once he trusts you, or I didn't feel any hostility from him. He offered me the job. I mean, it's not like I just knew that I didn't realize how much on my face Jim recognized that there was an actor in trouble. And I know this was not the only time that he did something like that.
No, he was that guy. He was that guy, for sure.
And I think that, when I saw his, I guess it's the last movie he did with Julia Dreyfus, where he plays that's how you know how brilliant he is. Because most people think, as you know, when you're in something that's successful, they think you're that person.
Sure.
The public does. And to see Jim working opposite Louis Dreyfus is to understand, at least to me, how extraordinarily his range was amazing, which makes the tragedy of his passing so early so sad. And I remember when the memorial was, which was at St. John the Divine up in on Amsterdam and 110th Street. I didn't know there was a memorial, and I was just watching the news early in the morning, and they were announcing that the memorial was happening. So I literally hopped in the shower, got dressed, put on a suit, and took a taxi up to St. John the Divine, and everybody was inside. It was just cops out there. Everybody had left. And I came up, and thank God for Animal House and The Sopranos, because the cops recognized me, and they just said, "Come on in, Peter." It wasn't like I had to beg. And I got in there and got to, honor this person.